JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 28th, 327. Gonna be a really quick rant. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P down about 0.25% here. Actually, a little dip at about 245. Don't see any news for that. We had the Fed minutes at 2 o'clock. Nothing surprising there. And then after the close is the big deal, right? Nvidia, they're pretty much flat right now. Was it? Actually, it's up 1%. Implied move now $9 and let's see, 918, which is about a 6.7% move. So nothing crazy there. I mean, ideally, the ideal scenario would be a beat and raise, and then an up session. Now, whether it be 1, 2, 3%. I mean, if you're into calls, obviously you want a bigger move than that. But I think that'll it'll be like the Goldilocks scenario, and then the market can find some footing, and maybe we can get up to 600 by Friday. That's kind of the Goldilocks scenario. The not Goldilocks scenario is there's kind of decent earnings and it sells off, or a big miss, or lower guidance, and that would be not good for markets, right? So we'll see how this all plays out. Tomorrow we have the second read on first quarter GDP. That'd be pretty comical if it comes out flat or somewhat or up like a tenth of a percent. That'd be pretty funny. Well, I would say funny. And then Friday we get PCE data. So if Nvidia can at least beat and raise and kind of trade higher. I mean, it would be great if it rocketed higher, but even if it just trades higher, I think that'll bode well. And then probably the PC data and GDP numbers are probably not going to mean too much. So that's kind of overall market trading range. 1% here today. The dollar is up. Yields are down. So, well, actually, yields are higher but off the lows. So nothing crazy, right? So 586 to 597. Sure enough, on that dip, we got down to 580 on the SPY. It's probably still another decent trading range until we can start to break out. All right, so now quick on individual names. I talked about Wayfair at the start of the week as a spec trade. Got some of those uh, weekly strikes when it was 38 bucks. Boom, rallied yesterday up over 10%, and it's resuming the rally here today. It was up 3.5% earlier. Over the 200-day moving average. Actually, the 200-day is 42.22, and right now it's at 42.26. So it would be a big deal here if it can close above that. It hasn't had a sustained move above that over the last couple. Do I have the chart? Over the last 12 months or so. So if you can get over that and hold, I think it heads over 50 bucks. So I'll lock some more of my calls in. It's tough, right? It'd be easy to sit there and try and hold all of them for the big multi-bagger, but I got to take some profits off. You never know. So able to lock some more off for close to over 700%, and I just held the rest, and they were close to 1,000% just a little while ago, but don't have too many left. I then went and got some June strikes, because I think if the 200-day moving average breaks and holds, I think there's a chance to trade 45 plus in the coming days, if not higher. And then you have the possibility of some kind of trade deal agreement with Southeast Asia, right? So if that happens, I think it trades north of 50 bucks. That's kind of thought process there, the rationale behind that. So I'll continue to hold those. And once I get a chance to close out some of the 50s to cover costs, I'll do that. So monster trade there. And then GameStop, right? Great news this morning. I thought it was an ideal scenario, similar to hopefully what happens with Nvidia after the close, a Goldilocks scenario. Didn't use their entire offering amount to buy some Bitcoin. There's no details on how much the purchase price was, or the average, or any of that. But I thought the fact that they kind of held back the details would be good. But it turned out, unfortunately, a sell the news event. So locked the rest of my my June 50s in for some nice profits. Of course, not as nice as they were yesterday. Then I was looking to get some later dated strikes. So I was waiting for the premiums to come out. I almost got the July 165s at like $1.60 in the morning. And then I was just patient. I waited, and finally the afternoon started to bounce. So I got the 65s at a discount. They are lower than when I entered, but I'll continue to hold those because the thought process there is I think it trades into the low to mid 40s in the coming weeks, and then there's plenty of time on the July strikes, and I think it's one of those names that it might catch fire. So I'll just be patient there, similar to what I was with the Junes. I had the May strikes, and then I keep pointing out that break on the Golden Cross, and it had that back last year, a huge run, setting up again this year. So I think it trades much higher in the coming weeks and months. So I'll continue to hold those strikes and be patient. Similar to its earnings, right? I thought great earnings. Then they announced uh, their offering, and I thought that was a great deal. And then the stock was kind of like a sell the news event, but then it was into the low 20s, and boom, all the way up. I mean, it was up near 38 in the pre-market. Was it 30? Yeah, 37 or so. All right. That's GameStop. And then on to Joby. So Joby's one of my favorite stocks from earlier at the start of this year and at the end of last year. just just a great name, and what could be a new age of transportation. You would think huge stakeholders. So you already had Toyota, you have Uber. Uber has a small stake. You have Intel has a small stake in the company, and then there was news after the close that $250 million another investment closed from Toyota. And Toyota, I think, is on the hook for like $1 billion. Right now, they have a 15% holding of Joby, and it just kind of like adds fuel to the fire. And the longer this plays out, this name, the closer it gets to to being a revenue driving company, right? They still have to get the FAA approvals and stuff, but it looks like the Middle East will be the first starting point for them sometime end of 2025 into 2026. But I think by the time that happens, the stock's going to be trading substantially higher than that. Uh, and you take a look what happened with Archer Aviation too, which was trading at a discount to Joby. Now they're kind of like in lockstep. But I was looking at the calls and I'm like, oh, I get some June strikes, but the July's looking interesting on a risk reward basis. You start looking back the initial run in the fall of last year all the way up to 1050. So if it trades up near that, obviously the 11 strikes will be substantial multi-bagger. So I'll look to close them out to cover costs on the way up and ride the rest. But I think there's a longer term play. So I got the July's. And here's the chart. I mean, you take a look at 1050 was a big spot back at the start of the year. And the 10 handle in December. So I'll continue to hold those. So that's Joby. Uh, Dell was looking great just a little while ago and then just dipped. It was back over 115. Still hold the calls into NVIDIA after the close here, and then they have earnings tomorrow. So hopefully some premium builds tomorrow. If not, I'll lock those in, and then I'll just wait for earnings. I'm not going to do a binary event on Dell, especially with needing a huge move. So hopefully get some premium to be able to cover costs. What else do I have here? Oh, still have my eyes on. Well, I still have some June trips. It's back over its 200-day moving average. I'll wait till I close my Junes before adding more strikes, but I think at some point that trades back over $20. There's all these reports too about the summer travel season, right? Being one of these uh, less, I would say, just discounted deals, which I think is just going to add more traffic to some of these names. And Trip doesn't matter. It's not about how much the deals are for. Trip is all about people looking for vacations, right? So, and not only that, then experiences and all that fun stuff. So, all right, that's Trip. And then other names still watching RH, but down 2% again today. So maybe more towards the end of the week, like I've been trading it. MDB flat as a pancake here today. Maybe towards the end of the week, that'll find some strikes. And then Unity, one of my old favorites, rallying today. I think it has the most or up there in terms of call premium added today. Back when I had the last time I had calls, I was able to close them out because of the Roaring Kitty tweets. So I'm not sure if that's a similar setup here, but there's bearish people on this name, and they think it's some they think it trades at a substantial premium even up here. So I think that's some of the reason. Maybe it almost feels like some of these names the last 2 days almost feels like some short fund blew up and they're covering. But anyway, a name I'm watching for possibly for some speculatos, probably not today. And I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.